round 2. Heading into the day, the Seahawks were slated to select at picks number 50, 52, then 82, then 92. Yet just moments into round 2, they made a blockbuster trade with the Tennessee Titans, trading that 52nd pick and the 82nd pick, so 1 second rounder, 1 third rounder for Tennessee's 35th overall pick in the second round. So here it is, the Seahawks move up, and that is a gutsy move, and they go ahead and take Nick Emmanwori from South Carolina, a safety. And you may be hearing them say, well, they need a receiver. Well, they need this. Let me tell you something about Nick Emmanwori. I did a lot of research on this guy. There's a full article right now at KOMOnews.com because he's that good that I thought the Seahawks would look at him in round 1. Now, they went to Gray Zabel, the safe and effective pick in the first round. By all accounts, a great pick. But they obviously love Nick Emmanwori to move that kind of capital. And if you think about it, number 52, that was the pick that they got for DK Metcalf. So essentially, you're getting the pick you got for DK plus another pick for this guy. That is how much they value Nick Emmanwori. So it's a big move for the Seahawks to move up to number 35 with the Titans. And let me tell you a little bit more about Emmanwori. Okay, so he's a safety, but he's really versatile. Get this. He had the best ever NFL combine for a safety. Think about that for just a second here. The best ever safety combine performance. We're talking about a guy who's 6'3", 220 pounds, a guy that's safety, and can run a 4.38 in the 40-yard dash. I mean, talk about a guy who can cover just about anybody. Generally, a safety might be tasked with zone coverage, or certainly he can pick up a tight end out of the backfield. So this is a really big deal for the Seahawks. Not just the fact that they made the trade, but who they get in here with Nick Emmanwori. I mean, this is a guy who played the SEC, the toughest conference in football. And again, I mentioned those numbers here. Here's what you have to know from the standpoint of he's obviously a unicorn-type player. He's obviously bringing those numbers up that are so special, that are the kind of things you can't really find, right? And so when you suddenly insert him into Mike Macdonald's defense, we're talking about an absolute weapon for the Seahawks. We're talking about a guy that will make a difference, that will be used in so many ways. One of the things that was limited last year, certainly the Seahawks wanted to use Devin Witherspoon as a weapon in so many ways. But at the end of the day, there wasn't much depth at cornerback, for lack of a better term. Reek Woolen had one of the spots on lockdown, but oftentimes Devin Witherspoon had to man the other corner spot. And Josh Jobe was effective there as well. This move, in addition to just Emmanwori being what everybody calls a beast, a unicorn, whatever you want to call it, which makes this pick special on its own, but when you practically apply it to what the Seahawks are trying to do, that's what makes it even more special. It frees up Witherspoon to do a lot more things. It frees up Julian Love to do a lot more things. I'm thinking about a secondary with Spoon, Reek Woolen, Julian Love, and Nick Emmanwori out there. That's pretty impressive. It's kind of fitting that his best NFL comparison by all accounts is Kyle Hamilton, a guy that Mike Macdonald utilized pretty darn well with the Baltimore Ravens in their vaunting defense. So this is really special for the Seahawks to get this guy. Again, you can check out KOMOnews.com. I wrote a whole article on this guy because he's that good that I thought the Seahawks were going to take him in the first round. They liked him enough to trade up to number 35, and that's giving up some serious draft capital. Number 52 and 82, you're giving up 1 second rounder, 1 third rounder, and again, that second rounder is the one that you got for DK Metcalf. So you're giving up some serious draft capital for this guy, but it's a guy that they obviously love, a guy that I think is going to make a major impact, and somebody that, when you look at the grand scheme of things, is going to be a difference maker for this team. Okay, the defense was lights out in the second half of the season, and think about how much different this defense looks from the beginning of 2024 to now. I mean, Ernest Jones, kind of revolutionized it, if you want to call it that. As soon as he was there, things took off from there. So your linebackers are just about set. I think they may look that way later in the draft for another linebacker. Your defensive front looks pretty good. Again, I think they might look for some help there as well. But the secondary, man, that looks really good right now with Spoon, Woolen, Emmanwori, and Julian Love, among other players that are going to be depth pieces there as well. Okay, so Nick Emmanwori to the Seahawks at number 35 after the trade with the Tennessee Titans, which sends to Tennessee the number 52 pick, which is in the second round, and the number 82 pick, which is in the third round. So this is a really exciting thing, and so let's look at the rest of the night. We came into the night with the Seahawks having 4 picks, 50, 52, 82, 92. Okay, well, 52 and 82 are gone. So now the night will look like pick 35, which we just saw in Nick Emmanwori. It'll feature pick 50, TBD, wide receiver maybe a center. Man, if you got another really top-flight offensive lineman to go along with Gray Zabel, you will literally have solved your offensive line in a matter of 1 weekend. Getting chills thinking about that. Certainly there's other places they could look at well, but that would be I would prefer, if the center from Georgia is there, I like him. Or obviously an outside threat at wide receiver. I think that's the way you look at this. But Nick Emmanwori was just such a weapon that you really couldn't you really couldn't even look at it in that way. So I think that this is a really great night so far to start with the trade, to move up in that way. And now all eyes are on that 50th pick, which is coming up. We'll certainly update you right here on the KOMO News YouTube page when that does come down. And in addition to that, you still have the 92nd pick. Third round, so you get some players in that third round. Russell Wilson all those years ago. DK Metcalf was almost a third rounder, last pick of the second round. Then you look at some other guys that were taken. Abe Lucas, when he's healthy, is a starter for this team. He was taken in the third round in 2022. So there's a lot of players that this team can really make use of in that. And certainly John Schneider seems to thrive in those later rounds. You look at guys like Tyree Snyder, started linebacker last year, 5th rounder. Reek Woolen, who we've talked about at length in this video, 5th rounder. Okay, so there's a lot of capital later. The Seahawks, even after today, at pick 137, they picked twice in the 170s because of a compensatory pick. And so I think when you look at the 7th round, there's even some guys, because it wasn't so much a top-heavy draft as it was a deep draft. Guys that were rated beyond the 5th round in other drafts might be 3rd rounders. Now, the guys who were in the 1st round this year might be graded as 2nd rounders. That's kind of the way this draft plays out. But we still got a long night to go here. We're at the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. The Super Bowl banner behind me certainly gives that away. I think this is really special for the Hawks to kind of kick off the night in this way. And people love trades, right? Like, it just brings an energy and excitement to the night. And so to do it and to get a guy that I think is a difference maker from day one, can do so many different things in Mike Macdonald's defense, is really awesome. Again, I'll reiterate for folks who are watching this live, I know we'll post this when it's done, but for folks who are watching this live and didn't hear what I said about Nick Emmanwori off the top, 6'3", 220 pounds, 43-inch vertical, runs the 40-yard dash in 4.38 seconds. Let me just rephrase that. 40-yard dash in 4.38 seconds. Okay, you're talking about a unicorn at that size with that athleticism and ability. You're talking about a guy that plays safety by trade, but can also play a little bit of linebacker. He can blitz from either spot. He can do so many things. Imagine you're a quarterback and you see a guy 6'3", 220, 4.38, 40 running at you. It's like DK Metcalf trying to sack you, except, you know, obviously Emmanwori has a defensive acumen and mindset in that regard. So, yeah, this is worth the trade-off. At first glance, I'm like, ooh, 52 and 82, that's a lot of capital. But you have to look at it from the Titans' perspective. They're not going to give up 35 for 52 and 92, right? Like, you're not just going to move back 17 spots for an extra talent of the 3rd round pick, right? So this is what the Seahawks had to do to get their guy. And I applaud it. You saw and identified this is your guy. You want this guy. So let's go get him. And indeed, they did get Nick Emmanwori, a guy that, once again, I thought that would garner a look at 18. So well done by the Hawks. I love the pick. Love the pick. I think it'll just be an awesome weapon for Mike Macdonald to use on that defense. He can do so many different things. And speaking of Mike Macdonald, we'll talk to both he and John Schneider when tonight is done. So we're talking about when the 3rd round ends on KOMO 4. And so we'll get to hear some of the ins and outs of that trade. We'll get to hear some of the what about Nick Emmanwori made them love him so much. What about this team and this defense makes them say, okay, we're going to trade up for this guy because we think he can make that much of a difference from day one. Because you don't make a trade like that unless you think that. So I applaud the effort. Because the safe play, the easy play, is to stay at 15, 52 and get some good players. Instead, they move up. They were aggressive. They still get that 50 pick, so they still have 2 2nd-rounders, which I'll remind you, they've had 2 2nd-rounders twice in the last few years, 2022 and 2023. In 22, it was Kenneth Walker III and Boye Mafe. I think that worked out. In 23, it was Derek Hall and Zach Charbonnet. I also think that worked out. And those guys are still developing, just 2nd year, going into 3rd-year guys. I think they're guys you're going to see take a big leap as we move forward. So I think it's a really cool thing for 12s out there to really get that extra draft capital and then see how they spent it. Now, we'll see what they do at number 15. I'll likely join you again for that. But boy, oh boy, our rapid reaction. Nick Emmanwori, the Seahawks, a blockbuster trade. Seahawks sending pick number 52, pick number 82 to the Tennessee Titans for pick 35. And with that 35th pick, the Seahawks take Nick Emmanwori, 6'3", 220-pound safety from South Carolina, played in the SEC, one of the best athletes in the game. Really, again, I will reiterate this because this isn't just some consensus. It's based on the testing numbers. Emmanwori was the best safety ever by the measurables, the numbers, all that fun stuff at the NFL Combine. Really impressive stuff. Well done, John Schneider. We're going to take a closer look at this, certainly at the end of the night when he and Mike McDonald talk to us. And, of course, we'll update you on Pick 50 as it comes in later tonight. Go Hawks.